Let's start by adding functionality to our add new task component here. So I'll switch over to my component, and in here, the first thing I'll need to do is create a new state for the task value. And this will be set task value, which will equal use state with an empty string as a default. And now I'll go into the input and I'll make sure that whatever the value is what's in the task value state. And hit save. If I start typing something, notice how nothing is actually happening. The reason why is because my value is hard-coded to this one, and we have not captured the onChange event handler. So when this value changes, nothing is triggering the state to update so that React would show us something else. If I switch over to my console, probably there's going to be some error about that. Right over here, let's see, just refresh and show the form. First thing it says here, you provided a value prop to a form field, but you do not have an onChange handler. The reason why we see them twice is that we actually are displaying them twice on our application. Let me go ahead and remove that, which is basically one of the two. And for now, let's make the default true, just so I don't have to keep clicking on that button every time the application reloads. Switch back to my new task component, and let's see what happens now. Here I need to add my onChange. So basically, here's what I want you to do whenever the value of whatever is being typed into this input happens. We need you to call set task value. The value is going to be whatever comes back from the event target value, all of which you should be familiar with from regular JavaScript or regular DOM manipulations that we've done earlier. So on the change event, we're capturing that event. We're capturing the value out of the target. In this case, the target is the input element here. All right, so let's see what happens now. If I start typing here, at least it is populating, which means that this task value is being updated and we know whatever the user is typing. If I try to open this in the component tab, which is what comes from React Developer Tools, let's see what happens if I click on this item here. You see that the state is this value here. As I keep updating or entering different values, the state changes along with that as well. All right, so now we're done with the first aspect of this. We're able to capture what the user is saying. But now, when the user submits it, we need to have a way to actually submit this task anyway, and we need to send it to our application so that we're able to populate our task list here. So for that, I'll do one or two things. First, I'll add a button, and we'll call it plus. And on click, we're going to call a function called handle submit, which right now does not exist. If it really doesn't receive anything, I can just pass it like that. And over here, I'll create this new function, const handle submit. And for now, we'll just have a console log whatever the task value is. Let's see if that works. If I type in something and hit the plus button here, we should see it in the console. Here we go. As I keep clicking the plus sign, so the counter of how many times this word has appeared. All right, so now we need to send this value back to the app or back to the parent component. So over here, I'll find where's my add new task. We're actually gonna add a property and we'll call this on submit. And we'll provide a function for what do we need to do when this function is being called. So we're gonna have this function receive a task. And for now, let's just have it console log whatever that task is. Okay, I'll switch back to my new task component. And on here, I have to receive whatever the onSubmit function is. And we'll make sure that we call it in our handle submit function here. So on submit, we want you to pass over the task value back to our app component. Let's save and let's see what do we get right now. I'll clear my console, refresh my application, type in something. And if I hit the plus button, we got the something printed in two places. One in the new task component itself on line 7, which is what we expected, but we also got it on the 34th line right over here, which now we know we're able to pass our data back to our app component. So all what we need to do in this onSubmit function is to actually capture this task value and append it into our tasks state here. So let me go ahead and do that. We'll call the set tasks function, and we're going to want this to be whatever the current value is. Let's actually pass it in as a function. Whatever the current value, we want you to retain it. So spread whatever comes out of the current and then append to it the following object. The object will have an ID. And for now, let's just hard code the number 4. It will have a title, which is what we sent back from the add new task. So this will be called task. And finally, done should be false by default. Okay, let's see what happens now. If I hit the plus sign, here we go. The task is being added to the list. And I did not even have to bother with figuring out where this needs to be added to. We've defined to our React application the state or the declarative way that we need to be able to populate our application. We basically instructed it that whenever there is a task, we just need you to display what this task is. So all we need to do now is basically figure out how to calculate whatever this number of ID is. So we could do something like get me the current array. We'll extract the ID out of each of them. So for each task, let's just get the task ID. And then we'll use the math function to extract what is the max value that we have. So math.max. So this here should return 3 in this case and plus 1. All right, let's see what happens now. We'll save this, clear my application, refresh, type something, hit enter or submit it. We get an error here that says receive not a number for a data ID attribute. If this is unexpected, let's see what happens. This is happening on line 3 of the task item. So let's switch over to the task item, line 3 ID. So apparently this ID was passed as not a number. So that means I must have made a mistake in how we are calculating what is the next ID number. Let's think about it again. All right, so I think the issue is that this function here is expecting the values to be provided as separate values, not as an entire array. So what we'll need to do here is to basically spread out the values that come out of this functionality, and that should do the trick. Let's clear out the application or refresh, type in something, and here we go, it's being added. If I open it in the inspector, we should see that data ID being populated correctly. So that is great. Now we're able to add tasks to our application. Let me add another behavior that you might be expecting. As I'm typing here, it really is kind of unnatural that I have to switch over to my mouse just so I can hit the plus sign. Probably what you need to do is hit the enter instead. And also we need to reset the value of the task value over here. That way we don't have to erase what's in the current form before we're able to type in a new thing. So first, let's start with that. After we've submitted the value, we'll call set task value and we'll set it to an empty string. And then next, let's go ahead and on our input, let's add an on key down event. We'll capture whatever the event is. And we'll do if the e.key equaled enter. Then we also need you to call the handle submit function. And that should be it. We'll just execute the function itself. Let's see if that works. Now, if I type in something 2, hit enter, not only did it add it to the list, but it also cleared out the form, which is an even better user experience for the application here.